Hello world, this is Shruti Pandey again, and we are continuing our conversation, our podcast with Aadil. Do I really need to say senior director of marketing at HackerRank? Because he is a personality, a celebrity in himself, and he reminds me of the notorious things, the crazy stuff that I have done in my college, my life, and my journey. And it's so relatable. And I think it's very apt that you are inspiring the next generation of students and professionals to get into the different kind of jobs and things they want to pursue in, because you are the perfect role model is how I look at it. Like how Madhuri says, perfect. You're literally that perfect. And you have all the components of entrepreneur, founder, sales, marketing. Like you're all in one package. And I used to feel I am that kind of a person. So you're kind of making me envious, but I actually feel happy कि मेरे जैसे भी लोग हैं दुनिया पे. So thank you so much, Adil, for being yourself and answering that one question of mine about entrepreneurship in such a candid way. Because if any of the kids inspiring to get into entrepreneurship, or even middle-aged or whichever age wants to see it, I think it was a perfect playbook of understanding how at every age of your life, at every junction at your life, you're actually doing something which will propel you into being the rocket ship that you are today. So my second question is, which you were trying to dodge about belong, and this is a classic thing which people say, right? You wear multiple hats, but you were always wearing multiple hats. So I want to understand, first of all, were you ever interested in marketing? Because like you mentioned in the first part of our conversation, you never were doing marketing, which I feel is false. But were you ever really interested in marketing? And how did the wearing multiple hats at Belong really shape your career?
So, good question. I think you don't know a lot when you are at the start of your career. And I think one of the best things in life is to figure things out. Now, a lot of people have this thing that, okay, I want to do my MBA. First, the most obvious thing in India is IIT, IIM, उसके बाद नौकरी, और फिर बाहर चले गए तो लाइफ बन जाएगी and we are set. That is for the kinds of people who are very good at acads and who believe they can do that. Right from the start, I knew what my strengths and weaknesses were. I sucked at acads and I couldn't study for nuts. So I knew कि ये तो मैं नहीं कर सकता. The other thing that was clear is I wanted to do my own business at least once in my life. I don't know for what reason. It just like was thinking कि मेरे को करना है types.
Okay.
अब वो when you do business, then you have to do pretty much everything, right? This and you have to learn everything. तो वो हुआ. Like we discussed, one thing led to the other, and I joined Dell. So when I was in Dell, how do you work in human resources and talent acquisition became very clear to me.
Right.
Although my role was talent acquisition social media advisor, meaning I was doing social media for talent acquisition and employer branding. But because I was working with 100 people in recruiting, rubbing shoulders with them every day, I knew because of my past startup Talent Onions and through what they were going through, what is life like for a recruiter. And in Dell, I got access to hiring managers and interacted with them directly. तो ये समझ में आ गया कि बिजनेस कैसे चलता है, हायरिंग मैनेजर का पर्सपेक्टिव कैसे क्या होता है, what do they look for in people, what is the view of a hiring manager, what is the view of a recruiter. These are two very different views.
Yeah.
And based on that, how does that dynamic work between them? Right. So ये सब समझ में आ गया, and then I figured कि अच्छा, I have learned whatever I wanted to in HR. ये हो गया. No, I've understood that. Now, what I was fascinated by, and it came naturally to me, and I've always like let things happen to me in life because I've always listened to my heart and not my head. It's just the guy I am. तो तब ये समझ में आ गया था कि HR कैसे चलता है. Now I wanted to figure out enterprise sales कैसे चलता है. Because LinkedIn had found me so beautifully that I had spent so much more on them. I was like, why didn't I do that when I was doing my own thing? So then when LinkedIn came with an offer saying that come join us, I was like, enterprise sales to nahi karna. This I was very clear that I don't want to be a sales guy. Because I had done that earlier and I don't want to have a quota on my back. What I wanted to do was I wanted to learn enterprise sales by being in a disguise of someone else. because I'll be tagged to multiple sales reps.
Hmm.
So wo LinkedIn gave me that opportunity, wo ho gaya. Then after 2.5 years when that was done, I was like, अच्छा ये समझ गया, अभी customer success सीख लिया, enterprise sales सीख लिया. By then, what had happened was we were starting doing road shows at LinkedIn. We would do these prospect seminars where we would get 10, 12 CHROs in a room, heads of TA in a room. Marketing would organize that, but I would be the speaker.
Got it.
And I really enjoyed speaking to people. I really enjoyed bringing people together. I used to get a kick when, these 100 people come or these 10 marquee people come and you had a great conversation and they pat you on your back and say, Aadil, what a great event. Yeah.
I know.
So, while marketing was organizing all this, they were running these cool campaigns. So, मेरे को लगा कि यार, this appeals to that creative side of mine and I want to do something like this. And I think I have enough exposure at LinkedIn, how this has happened, but I can potentially maybe go one step ahead and do something even more creative.
Sure.
So then that's how I wanted to get into marketing. Now, this is where I'm answering your question. That's when it became clear to me. So in 2015, it became clear to me that I want to do marketing as my next play. And that's how Belong happened. So it wasn't really clear to me before that. I have, like I said, taken life as it comes and said, what do I do next? Or isme mere ko maza aayega kya? And then I really enjoy whatever I do. And then it dawns upon you saying that, okay, you've learned whatever you had to, you've done whatever you had to. Chalo, now let's figure out what's next, and then it comes to you.
Absolutely. So Belong Mein, I see you have done so many roles that you've practically taken a plethora of roles where it started from it was again a Vijay, right? I think Vijays have been very lucky for you somehow from the printing days to the Belong day. And you were wearing so many multiple hats in Belong. Did that also help shape your career in very many ways? Like how does that journey reflect?
I've always told this to a lot of people, and my close circle obviously knows this. And Vijay obviously knows this, but he's very humble and he'll never admit it. I think a lot of my success is because of Vijay. If he wouldn't have recruited me at Belong, I wouldn't have been a marketer ever. Nobody would have given me that opportunity. I'm very clear about that. So Vijay gave me the opportunity and he said, let's do demand gen. Why don't you start off with demand gen? मेरे को demand gen का D भी नहीं पता था. I didn't know when I joined Belong, but I had to figure things out. So slowly and steadily, we started doing webinars. We started doing these things that drive leads and then become MQL and then SQL. Another friend of mine who was at Belong, who I reported into for a couple of years, was Kaushik. And Kaushik is this bap of marketing. Like, he's really good. His fundamentals are really strong. So I am more the evangelist persona rather than the marketer persona. And I was a true pure play evangelist when I joined Belong. And Kaushik would structure things while I had ideas. And then I would execute and Kaushik would do the strategy. So that's how we were a strong team. And that dual reporting initially into Kaushik and Vijay helped a lot. So for the first 6 months, I reported into Vijay, but then after that, for the next 2 years, I reported into Kaushik. And Kaushik taught me whatever I know about marketing. And Vijay was this enterprise sales linchpin or king for that matter that I learned everything enterprise sales from. I still think, by the way, he's the best enterprise sales guy I have met in my life. Nobody gets enterprise sales like Vijay does. So anyways, did demand gen for 6 months. And I very vividly remember, 6 months के बाद, Vijay calls me into his cabin. And he says, Adil bhai, maza aa raha hai karne mein demand gen. I'm like, हाँ यार, बहुत मजा आ रहा है. You're enjoying your role. I'm like, yeah. But I'm like, why are you asking me all this? He's like, role change करते हैं आपका. And very matter of factly, in 6 months, like, in corporates, you have to wait for 18 months to even consider having that conversation, right?
Yes.
He calls me in 6 months, role change करते हैं आपका. And I'm like, Vijay, did I do anything wrong? Are you happy with me, or like what pissed you off? He's like, oh, dude, you're taking this the wrong way. I'm very happy with what you did, but I think we're in a place where somebody else can take over demand and run it. We are fighting different fires at Belong.
Yes.
Customer marketing, we are not doing anything, and it's very important for us as a business because now we have 60 customers. Somebody needs to focus on customer marketing and crack that for us. And I think you're the perfect persona. So I was like, लेकिन करना क्या चाहते हो? Like, I don't know what is customer marketing. He said, you didn't know what demand gen was, but you figured it out. Go come back to me with a plan in 48 hours, we'll take it from there. So I was like, but who do I transition demand gen to? Because there is a team and there are people. And he's like, go meet Rishabh outside. He's ready to transition right now. Transition everything today. You start customer marketing this afternoon. And that rush, that adrenaline rush, that holy shit, is this a promotion? Did you just promote me in 6 months? And am I getting a new role? And I know I'm going to enjoy this. The freedom that it gives you, the flexibility, and there's just no interview nonsense. You have to interview to get a promotion and all of that.
Yeah, and you
that is so bloody cool.
Bhai, maine itna sab kiya hai, de mere ko. Like all that shit is gone. Somebody really
Nothing. I've never, and that's why I'm always grateful to Vijay. I've never had to go to Vijay and say, Vijay, what next for me? That's never happened when I was working for Belong. Yeah. So then customer marketing happened and he asked me to work on it. So I started working on playbooks. How do we do events that drive product adoption? Mm-hmm. So we got people together in office from our customer base. We started having them use the product. We gamified the whole experience. They were tweeting it live. We had live scoreboards of companies battling with each other. People loved that. So, and then we organized like an awards night for our customers. It's like the Oscars, but awarding your customers for game-changing stuff that they are doing in recruiting. Yes. Because we had access to them. We had the inside scoop. We had their product usage, all of that. And when you're in a startup, you don't have a lot of budget. So you have to restrict yourselves and find creative avenues of getting that done. So I did that for the next 8 months. And again, this guy calls me, Vijay, one day. Says, Aadil bhai. I'm like, yeah. Like, customer marketing ho gaya yaar. Next kya karoge? And I'm like, okay. I asked him again, happy na? So I'm like, yeah, very happy. He's like, yeah, very happy. Have you thought about what you want to do next? I'm like, yeah, this time I'm prepared. Because like, you don't foresee that conversation, but you are at the back of your head. If he calls you, then what? Right? You better be prepared. So I knew that Kaushik, who was my boss then, was thinking about hiring someone for PR. And he wanted to hire a relatively junior guy for PR. And I was fascinated with how, these articles come in newspapers, which is edit, not ads. Yeah. And I was like, yeah, humko bhi karna chahiye yaar. But I didn't know how to crack it. So Kaushik, matter of factly, a month before that had come to me and he was thinking about designing the marketing org. I wasn't the marketing leader that time. I was head of customer marketing. Before that, head of demand gen. Kaushik was head of marketing. Yeah. So he was telling me, Aadil, this is how I'm planning to build the org. Ye log ko yahan layenge aur ye reporting aise karenge. What do you think? So I told him, हाँ सही रहेगा यार. And he said, PR के लिए मैं सोच रहा हूँ. So I told Kaushik, यार मेरे को ले ले. And he's like, Aadil, you want to PR? I'm like, but you're so good at customer marketing. I'm like, hi, but I've not done this. So maybe Kaushik and Vijay had chatted about this. Now, I didn't know all about all that because you don't think. Things happen very fast in startups. And then when I went to Vijay, I said, PR करना है. He said, कैसे करोगे? आज तक तो किया नहीं है. मैंने कहा, आपकी playbook follow करेंगे. आपकी playbook follow करेंगे. But he was just being nice to me, He was just engaging in conversation. I think he also knew that this is what I'll come asking for because I had told Kaushik.
I feel like, right? did these guys really stage it for you? Both Vijay and Kaushik, probably they were like...
Very possible. Yeah, very possible. But there was a very interesting dynamic between the three of us. And till today, we're the best of friends. In fact, Kaushik and me, we call it our boys club, which is me, Kaushik, and a couple of other friends of mine. There's this guy called Adi, who's head of product at Infido. He's their chief product officer. He was with me at LinkedIn. And when I went to Belong, Vijay said, who do you think is LinkedIn's best person that we can hire for Belong? And without flinching, I said, Adi. So he said, what are you waiting for? Go get him. But I said, I haven't even told you how much he makes, what he does, what he'll hire for. He said, I created a role for you, right? If you think he's as good as you or better than you, you get him. I said, this guy is 100% better than me. So then that's how I recruited Adi. I called him on the phone. I was like, dude, it's been 1 week we can Belong. It's amazing. You need to join. Hey, you're mad or what, bro? I don't want to do startup. I'm like, bugger, you come here, you meet the people, you'll be blown away. Give us a chance. And that's how we got Adi. So within like 3 months of me joining, Adi also joined. And so now he's head of product at Infido. And there's another guy called Shri, who I hired from National Instruments for our sales team. So there was a point in time when we were building our sales team. For 3 months, Vijay came and told me, Adil, I want you to stop whatever you're doing. You continue doing whatever you're doing, but 80% of your time, I want you to focus on recruiting. Because I'm building out my sales team and I don't have the time. I want you to build out my sales team. I also want you to build out my VP sales. So in that 1 quarter, right, I recruited 4 people for enterprise sales for hunting, and I closed out our VP sales, Jatin, back in the day. So Shri was one of those. He was in National Instruments. He's that kid from RV College, Bangalore, very high IQ, and then 7 years at NI. And then I had to patao him to come to a startup by, really giving up a lot of those luxury privileges and all of that. So Shri, who's now doing his MBA at Wharton, Kaushik, Adi and me, the 4 of us, even to this day, every 15 days, we go out for breakfast and we catch up and we have a good time. So that whole gang is very close. And even Vijay, we catch up on a very regular basis now. So I have learned a lot from these guys over the years. But that's how this whole thing happened. So then I got into the PR role. And for the next 1.5 odd year, I just learned how to do PR and I scaled PR. So we hired our first agency, Edelman, to help with PR, became great friends with them. And I'm in touch with them even to this date. Zach, who's still the strategy guy for Edelman. Nikita, who's now at Salesforce running PR for them. And then Medha, who's at Coup, advising them on all things PR. So it's fascinating how that Belong holds like a very special place. And then one fine day, Kaushik decided that he wanted to do product. So he transitioned from VP marketing to product head. And that's when I went and told Vijay that, hey, now that Kaushik's moved out, you need someone to run marketing. Give me the job. So I went and asked him rather than he giving it to me. And he said, yeah, sure, take it. So that's when I got VP marketing, and that's when I started running marketing for Belong. So that's Belong for you in a nutshell.
I always wanted, somebody from the marketing arena to be on my podcast. And I'm so glad that you are the first one, coming from that arena, because this is such an amazing podcast and I feel like it shouldn't end. I can just keep on listening to you. And, I'm also one of the talkative person, and like you talk, I also talk my heart out. But I don't remember in a very long time that I'm just listening to somebody like, okay, I'm like a small kid and I'm just so interested in listening to the entire journey. And I want to specially call it out for all the amazing people that you have met in your journey, because all of them became your friends, no matter where they landed up and where they went, etc. But the fact that, your journey makes me believe that maybe good people do find good people. I hope some good people find me also, because I've been waiting for my tribe. Sometimes I think I do this weird activities like an SOS thing to attract my tribe. But this is really like, I feel like giving a big shout out to all the good people in life who just come to you and are like, okay, you know what, this is done. Let's just put you in the next place. You have already been there, done that. And it's so amazing to work with such people. And I love, absolutely love all the experiences that you've shared with me so far. And now I'm going to get a little selfish, because since April this year, now that I've gotten into podcasting, and you are a podcaster yourself too, I want to understand, what does that experience feel like? Like, what is that ball game altogether for you?
Yeah, podcasting is simple to me. Like I started it in the pandemic. I started in the pandemic because earlier, pre-pandemic, the kind of guy I was at LinkedIn and at Belong, 3 days a week at least out of the 5 working days, I was at customers' offices, meeting customers and interacting with them, trying to either sell, trying to either drive adoption, trying to do a workshop, trying to build a relationship, whatever, right? And I just enjoyed that. Like for 7 years of my life, I have done continuously 125 to 150 flights a year, every year.
Yeah.
Which means you're traveling and you're having the time of your life. And a lot of people get tired by it, and it's not easy. Like think about it, when you're in a startup, you get up 3 o'clock on a Monday morning,
Yeah.
3:30 you leave your house. 4:30 in Bangalore you reach the airport.
Yeah.
You check in by 5:30. You're taking the quarter to 5 to Delhi, and
Yeah.
you reach Delhi at about 8:30 in the morning. You By the time you get out of the airport, it's about 9:15. By the
Yeah.
time you get to your customer's place, 10:30, you're doing your first meeting. You finish your first meeting, organize this meeting in the same tech park. You finish 2 meetings, grab lunch. You do the third meeting.
Oh, yeah.
If you have subsequent meetings that day, you do. Otherwise, you fly out. You fly out to Bombay. You come. You crash in the night. You're so bloody dead.
Yeah.
But if you really enjoy life, if I were to put it that way. Like, for example, I've always enjoyed food. So I would travel with a sales guy more often than not, and
Right.
we would travel together. Or if I'm not traveling with a sales guy, I would schedule a late dinner meeting with a friend or with a business contact who enjoys food as well. So if I come to Bombay, I have to go to Muhammad Ali Road and I have to have that street food there. I have to have that keema pav there. I have to go to a Cafe Britannia and really have that berry pulao. I have to go to Crawford markets to buy chocolates because you get them cheap, right? At the same time, if I find like a gourmet place like Bastion, then I have to go to Bastion and have animal prawns. So, so even if I'm getting late, right? If I'm landing at 11:30, 11:45, I would still go to Muhammad Ali Road, eat my food, come back, sleep at 2, get up at 6, prepare next day for the meetings, have breakfast, and be on my way to the next meeting. So, and that also happens, like you said, when people make it special, right? If you have the right sales team who enjoys doing this with you,
Yeah.
if you have people who have shared interests,
Oh, yeah.
also if you're able to find customers who will also enjoy these experiences.
Right.
So then imagine doing that for 7 years, right? You're
Oh,
living your dream, and then the pandemic kills your dream suddenly. You're stuck at home over Zoom. So all those interactions have stopped. And then you're like, shit, like I'm not getting any new insights. I'm not getting any new learnings. So kya kare? Kaise kare? And that's when you say, okay, let's start a podcast. And the other thing that I also realized is my entire audience that I've interacted with all my life has been talent acquisition and HR, right? And then when I came to HackerRank, my audience has been talent acquisition HR, but also developers, because this is the first time I've started interacting with developers, SVP engineering, CTO, chief product officers. These are the personas that I interact with. So I figured out doing that through my LinkedIn lives and through HackerRank Radio and all of that. So I'm comfortable now speaking to the tech persona. But I realized, holy shit, I don't know anybody in marketing, yeah? Because I'm new to marketing. I've never hung out with marketers. So I was like, I need to do something that also teaches me nuggets of wisdom from marketers that I can deploy at HackerRank. And then I can use in my own life for my own campaigns.
got it.
So then I started doing research. So I started calling. So I remember I called Shri, that guy at Wharton who's now that I spoke to you about. I said, bro, who's the best marketer you know? So he told me, yaar, I think you should speak to Arvi. I was like, Arvi kaun hai? So he said he's the sales guy. He's the general manager for Twitter APAC. He's not a marketer, but he used to be a marketer. When I met him, I think this guy is told. So then I said, introduce me. Can you introduce me to RV? Because if I write to him cold, he's not going to answer, right?
Okay.
So Shri hustled and got me that intro to RV. And when I heard his story, I was like so mind blown. I was like, this is fantastic. So the podcast went out, but a lot of those learnings got deployed at HackerRank.
Yeah.
Then similarly, I told Shri, acha, aur kaun hai? And we were doing this together. Me and Kaushik started doing this together, podcast, the Great Indian Marketing Show. So then Shri said, Raj. I'm like, who's Raj? He said, Raj is probably the only guy I know who has his own Netflix show on him. He runs one of the biggest ad agencies in the world. I said, yeah, again, I don't know him. She's like, even I don't know him. But you know what? I'll cold ping him on Instagram and I'll get you introduced to him.
Crazy.
So we have this dynamic between friends where, whenever someone needs, we go out of each other's comfort zones to do something for them without pure interest. Like Sri does not have anything to gain by getting me an intro to RV or getting me an intro to Raj. He himself doesn't know, by the way. And he's like the chief creative officer of Leo Burnett for South Asia. And so Shri went out of his comfort zone, hustled, and got me in this intro to Raj. And he was the debut episode on the Great Indian Marketing Show. And people feel like Aadil and Kaushik know this guy. We never know this guy. It's because of Shri we know this guy. Think about it, right? So that's how I've gone about meeting people and understanding what their career journeys have been like, what is the good stuff they've been doing, and then really deploying those techniques for my own learning at HackerRank, which is why we did the Great Indian Marketing Show.
I don't want to call this the luck factor, but I can't emphasize this enough that having good people in your life is like so much, we miss acknowledging those aspects of having good people in life because uh like you were sharing your journey, I remember being that person for many folks, but I don't remember anybody being like that for me. So I started to feel that weird gap and disconnect. And ironically, a lot of my team members during the pandemic would actually pull my leg कि यार ये तो इतनी people's person है, इसका क्या होने वाला है pandemic में. And yeah, it's like when you just have a natural talent, a God gift that, like I was telling to you earlier, that my desk, whichever organization it would have been, it would be always clocked by people. Like a positive energy or something is going out and everybody is just coming there. So something of that sort. And people literally would pull my leg. My team members would pull my leg that kaise nikalegi ye pandemic, because and I actually feel that my powers get into picture and get into play when I am with people. So I totally get your point, and I totally also understand the crazy bit about taking calls till 3 a.m. in the morning with the clients. And I was doing it with technical people, right? So they are not very comfortable in coming in person. In fact, sharing their screen is a big deal for them. So having 3 a.m. call, again getting early in the morning, supporting Australia, and then coming to office, doing everything like all the world, and then going back. I remember once telling the guy sitting next to me that I don't think so. Our support also supports so much like I am supporting, and I'm not even a support job. I think the biggest lesson I learned from your experience is the food aspect. I never gave importance to my food cycle and everything. So I was just messing up with my body clock and eating habits. And if I would have taken care of that, I would have pulled that nonsense of working 24/7 for a little longer. But there came a time where my body was like, no, we can't do this anymore. So I genuinely learned so many life lessons, I would like to say, from this bit of yours. And my final question to you is, without taking much of your time, I know I've like overextended this podcast with you, and I'm so grateful for you to give me your time. But my final question is, what does a day in the life of senior director marketing at HackerRank look like?
Well, it's very, what do I say? There's nothing special about it, just like everyone else is. You wake up in the morning, and then there are two things that I do. One is I have a team here in APAC, which is I'm responsible for growing the demand in this region, which means I have to collaborate with my sales team here. And then I have my own marketing team here. So my one-on-ones, my meetings, anything related to APAC, they happen in the day. I typically end up starting my day at like 9:30 in the morning, most days. This happens, you'll do your meetings till like 1:30. I tend to take a break at 1:30 to 3:30. That's my lunchtime. One of the things that is the luxury of working remotely you get is you can do whatever you want at home. So I have been blessed that way, that ever since I was a little kid, it's not the rule, but the culture in our house has been, we all have lunch and dinner together as a family. It does not matter what time, everybody has different priorities, right? Dad will be out for work, my brother will be out, I'll be out, whatever. But it is common practice that 2 p.m. is dinner every day. 2 p.m. is lunch every day. 9 p.m. is dinner every day. So whatever you're doing, drop that and do this. And our culture, I'm a Muslim. In Muslims, you don't drink, there's no alcohol, there's no nasha, there's no partying, there's not a lot of that. Correct. The only thing that you end up celebrating and bonding over is food. Yeah. So our lunch sessions every day are at least 2 hours. So हम 2 बजे बैठेंगे अगर खाने को तो 4 बजे उठेंगे, because when you're on the lunch table, sure, you finish lunch in 30 minutes, but those conversations kind of tend to take longer. Yeah. So that's why I like having that 2-hour break in the afternoon, where my wife.
You remind me of that Pangat system, right? Where you all sit together and you all also get up together. I'm not sure if that's how it goes in your family,
Same,
but
same,
it's
same, same.
really what we call it as the Pangat system, right? Like everybody sits together. That is so nice
Yeah,
and
and
keeping all that culture alive.
yeah, it's just, like what's happening. And then you talk about what's happening in your life. You talk about what you're doing right. Sometimes you get a whack from your parents because you're being stupid, but it's all fun. And you enjoy that.
Yeah.
And now what happens is, look, for 2 years, I was in Belgaum in the pandemic. And now I had to go back to Bangalore because my kids' school started. जब तक school remote था Zoom पे, they were also enjoying life here. So I got those 2 full years with my parents.
Right.
And now I had to go back to Bangalore. So when we are back to Bangalore, then me and my wife, we lunch together. Obviously miss my parents. They are in Belgaum. So we lunch together, we chill together, and then I get back onto a couple of calls. And again in the evening, I take a couple of hours off. Probably go for a walk or just spend time with my boys. I have 2 sons. And then like 8 p.m. onwards, I'm back again because my boss is in the PT time zone and my global marketing team is also there. Also, our headquarters is the Bay Area. So then 8 to 11, we typically do calls with our team in the PT time zone.
Right.
So an average day is just like that. But what I'm very grateful for is being a remote employee, which means I get to dictate how my day goes by.
Yeah.
And although a lot of people are like, Adil, you're working all day long. I'm like, dude, you don't see, you have no idea what I'm doing, right? I'm taking a couple of hours in the afternoon. I'm taking a couple of hours in the evening. I'm getting time with my wife. I'm getting time with my kids. If I want to do a breakfast meeting, I'll still go and do it with my friends at 8 o'clock in the morning. A lot of people don't have the luxury. So if people want to meet me, my friends, most days they can meet me. Just that Mondays to Thursdays, I can't do dinners with them because I have calls in the PT time zone. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I can do dinners with them. But otherwise, I'll tell them, yaar, lunch mein mil lete hain, breakfast mein mil lete hain, sham chai pe mil lete hain. All this is possible. So I'm very grateful for HackerRank because we have this remote culture and we can move around and play with our calendars and still live life and not just work.
Wow.
Otherwise you're just working और फिर तुम्हारी life कहाँ है यार? मतलब the joy of, I think the joy of so there's this one thing that I say slightly philosophical and people might get bored by this is the price of anything is the amount of life you exchange for it. Just think about that. The price of anything is the amount of life you exchange for it. So you might be getting paid 3x in another job, but if you're not able to spend time with family and friends and do what you really want to do in life, I think that's not the life I want to live. Different people have different opinions. But HackerRank allows me to live the life that is designed on my terms, because of which I'm very grateful. And it was the same with Belong, luckily, and it was the same with LinkedIn, same with Dell. So you keep saying that luck is an additional factor. I think some people have to be very lucky in life to be blessed with organizations like this and blessed with people like you rightly said, because not orgs are so empowering and independent that they'll give you the freedom. And the kind of guy that I am, I have always cherished and valued freedom over everything else.
I can see
I'm
that.
like, you have to give me autonomy, independence, because I have one life, I want to live it large.
That is so amazing. And the other aspect that I see of you is you're a big foodie too. Like you love food.
Oh, 100%.
If I were to meet you tomorrow, it has to be something around like planning it at a great place in Mumbai somewhere, and you'll be like, okay, Shruti, yeah, maybe we can meet and let me think about it.
No, we have to have the Shezwan masala dosa in front of that college in Andheri. So wahan pe to, like, I'm a huge street food guy as well. And that Shezwan masala dosa you will not get anywhere in India because it's such a Mumbai thing, right? So it has to be there.
So you've already
Or I'm sure like
कौन से गली कुची में क्या खाने का है वो भी आपने सोच के रखा है like
मेरे को तैयार है, but like I'm always like I love to be surprised also, right? Like for example, Ghatkopar, I'm not very familiar of that territory. Like where I'm familiar is like, for example, my mom is from Bombay, so all my vacation has been spent in Bombay. So you talk to me about the suburbs, I will know everything. So right from, let's say, Jogeshwari all the way up to Churchgate, that full line, I will know.
Okay.
But beyond that side, then that's alien territory to me. तो फिर मेरे को वो नहीं पता. हाँ, वो नहीं पता मेरे को. Because I have not been part of it. BKC side अगर आप बोलोगे, Malad side अगर आप बोलोगे, then because again corporates hang out there, then I will know again. But sorry, I've digressed quite a bit. I know we have just another minute and a half left.
No, now I know what I need to schedule for you. And this one podcast has been like a birthday gift to myself. My birthday is upcoming. I'm not going to say the date on this thing, but this is like a birthday gift to myself, and I'm going to cherish this podcast. Really, I have to say this out loud because it was such an enriching conversation to have with you in the first place, Adil. Like I said earlier while we were talking, that I was so looking forward to it. And thank you so much. You never gave me a dull moment. The way you were talking your heart out, like you literally poured your heart out. I'm so grateful for that, and I'm so grateful that I took that chance of reaching out to you and acknowledging your work and somehow keeping in touch. Like I'm just very happy that I did those things right, and I got to meet a person like you. Next time you're in Mumbai, and if you feel like you can have something to eat with me, let me know. I also feel like having another podcast with you where we talk about either food or how to manage your priorities, because I think I'm a big sucker at that, and I think most people are, and we need to figure it out with you. So if you're anytime up for that, let me know. We are so going to have that podcast.
Sure thing. Thanks for the opportunity. I really enjoyed conversing with you, Shruti, and we should definitely meet because always fun meeting people in person.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.